12 husbands, 12 wedding nights, 12 graves. The whole village believed one woman murdered every man she married. They called her a witch, a monster, a cursed bride. But they were wrong. Because every time another husband died, she lost another piece of herself. And there was something even more terrifying. If she refused to marry before the next full moon, every man, every woman, every child in Umu-Anya would burn alive before sunrise. Now only one full moon remained. She had to find one last husband. Not a man she could deceive, not a man she could trick. She needed a man who would willingly marry his own death. And when that man finally appeared, he smiled and said, "I've been looking for you my whole life." The whole village stopped talking. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Fresh red earth landed on the coffin. Thud, thud, thud. Each sound echoed through the silent crowd. Another husband was going into the ground. 11 months, 11 weddings, 11 funerals. Nobody cried louder than the man's mother. Nobody looked sadder than his brothers. But nobody looked at the widow. They refused. It was safer that way. Amarachi stood several steps away from everyone else. She wore a plain black wrapper, no jewelry, no makeup, no shoes. Only dust covered her feet. Her face showed nothing. No tears, no anger, no fear. People thought she had stopped feeling. They were wrong. She had simply run out of tears. The village priest finished the final prayer. The men lowered the coffin. More earth covered the wood. An old woman spat on the ground. Witch. Another woman shook her head. 11 husbands. An elder sighed. I warned him. Nobody defended Amarachi. Nobody ever did. As the crowd began to leave, mothers quickly pulled their sons away. Don't stand near her. Don't let her touch you. Don't even answer if she greets you. Their voices were low, but Amarachi heard every word. She always did. She turned and quietly walked home. Nobody followed. Nobody wanted to. The village market became silent the moment Amarachi arrived. Women who had been laughing suddenly stopped. A yam seller looked away. A palm wine trader packed his cups. Children who had been chasing one another froze. One little girl pointed at Amarachi. Is that the woman? Her mother grabbed her hand. Don't point. Sorry, Mama. The woman hurried away. Amarachi continued walking. She needed food. The curse did not stop hunger. She placed a few coins beside a basket of oranges. The seller refused to touch the money while she stood there. Amarachi picked 2 oranges and left. She knew the woman would collect the money after she was gone. That was how they had lived for months. No greetings, no smiles, no eye contact. Only fear. Under the old udala tree, 2 elders whispered, I have lived for 70 years. I have never seen evil like this. The second elder nodded. Maybe the spirits forgot to bury her instead. They laughed. Amarachi kept walking. She had stopped defending herself after the 3rd funeral. People only believed what fear wanted them to believe. Suddenly, a group of children began singing, Amarachi, marry me, so I can die and sleep beneath the tree. The children laughed. One mother quickly slapped her son, not because he was rude, because she feared saying those words too loudly. Amarachi lowered her head. Every song hurt. Every whisper hurt. Every stare hurt. But none of them hurt as much as remembering their faces. Her small hut stood alone at the edge of the village, far away from everyone else. Nobody visited anymore, not after the fourth husband. She stepped inside, closed the wooden door, dropped the heavy bar into place. Only then did she breathe. The silence inside was different. It was honest. She knelt beside the sleeping mat, carefully lifted one loose floorboard. Then she pulled out an old wooden box. It was smooth from years of use. She opened it slowly. Inside were 11 rings, each one tied carefully onto a leather strip. Each one belonged to a husband. She touched the first ring. Chidi. A tiny smile appeared. He danced in the rain. Even when everyone else ran inside, Chidi would stretch out his arms, look up at the sky, and laugh until everyone joined him. She touched the second ring. Ekene. He could never sing. His songs sounded terrible. He forgot the words. He changed the tune halfway. Yet, every morning, he sang to her anyway. She always laughed. He always smiled. She touched another ring. Obasi. He carved little animals from wood. He once made her a tiny elephant. It doesn't look like an elephant, she had teased. He laughed. It will after I finish. He never finished. Morning came before he could. She touched another, then another. Every ring carried a memory, not of death, but of life. Each husband had been kind. Each had dreams. Each had plans. None of them deserved what happened. Amarachi closed her eyes. Her voice became a whisper. I'm sorry. I couldn't save any of you. For the first time that day, a single tear escaped. It landed softly on the wooden box. 3 slow knocks echoed across the room. Knock. 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 Amarachi quickly wiped her face. She already knew who it was. Nobody knocked like that. She opened the door. Mama Oichchi stood outside, the oldest woman in Umu-Anya. Her back was bent. Her hair was completely white, but her eyes remained sharp. They carried secrets older than the village itself. Without asking permission, she walked inside. She looked at the wooden box, then at Amarachi. The 12th full moon is almost here. Amarachi nodded. I know. Mama Oichchi remained silent for a moment. Then she said quietly, There is something I should have told you months ago. Amarachi looked up. What? The old woman's face became pale. The 12th wedding is not like the others. The room suddenly felt colder. Outside, dark clouds slowly covered the evening sky. Somewhere far beyond the forest, the river began to roar. Mama Oichchi took a deep breath. Then she spoke the words that would change Amarachi's life forever. The last husband must know he is walking to his own grave. 5 days. That was all Amarachi had left. 5 days before the next full moon. 5 days before the village either celebrated another wedding or watched everything burn. The next morning, Mama Oichchi sent messengers beyond Umu-Anya. They traveled to nearby villages, Umueze, Amankwo, Obodoku, Inkerefi, everywhere. They carried only one message. The daughter of Umu-Anya seeks a husband. No one answered immediately. The messengers waited. Families gathered. Fathers whispered. Mothers cried. Young men disappeared before sunrise. By evening, every messenger returned, empty-handed. Amarachi lowered her head. Did anyone even ask why? They already knew why. Silence filled the room. The next day, Amarachi made another sacrifice. She opened the wooden chest her late father had left behind. Inside were everything her family owned: cowrie shells, gold beads, silver bracelets, her mother's coral necklace, 2 small bags of coins, a piece of land beside the river. It was everything. Her inheritance. She pushed everything toward Mama Oichchi. Offer all of it. The old woman stared at her. Child, everything. If one man says yes, the village lives. Mama Oichchi nodded. The gifts were carried across 4 villages. 3 days later, every single gift returned untouched. Not one coin was missing. Not one bracelet was accepted. Only a folded piece of cloth came back with them. Inside was a message. We would rather starve than bury another son. Amarachi read the words twice, then folded the cloth. She did not cry. She simply placed it beside the box of rings. Another memory. Another door closed forever.
The days became shorter. The shadows became longer. Fear spread through Umu-Anya like smoke. People counted the nights. 5, 4, soon 3. They would soon hear about another wedding. One afternoon, Amarachi heard about an old widower. His name was Okeke. His wife had died years before. His sons had left. He lived alone. Some said he was tired of life. Some said he welcomed death. Hope flickered inside her. Very small, but hope. She walked to his compound herself. Okeke opened the wooden gate. His face was full of wrinkles. His shoulders bent with age. You have come, he said quietly. I have. He looked into her tired eyes. I know why. She nodded. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Finally, the old man smiled. It was small, gentle. I've been alone for many years. Amarachi looked up. My wife has been gone a long time. My sons have built their own homes. This compound has become too quiet. He glanced at her. They say terrible things about you. I don't believe all stories. Amarachi's chest tightened. You shouldn't listen to them. I've lived long enough to know. Fear makes people invent monsters. For the first time in months, someone looked at her instead of the rumors. Okete took a slow breath. You are still young. You should not carry loneliness alone. If you have me, I wouldn't mind spending whatever years I have left beside you. Hope burst inside Amarachi. For one beautiful second, she thought the nightmare was finally over. Then, a voice exploded from inside the house. Papa! A young woman ran out of the house. His daughter. She threw herself between them. No! She grabbed her father's arm. You cannot. He has made his choice, Amarachi whispered. The daughter turned towards Amarachi. Her eyes burned with anger. You buried 11 men. You will not bury my father too. She dragged the old man back. He looked at Amarachi one last time. Pain filled his eyes. Then, slowly, he closed the wooden door. The sound echoed through her chest. Hope gone. Again. 3 days remained. Amarachi sat alone inside her hut.
The wooden box rested on her lap. She opened it. 11 rings, 11 memories, 11 men. She touched each one without speaking. Outside, children played, women cooked, men repaired fishing nets. Life continued. Her eyes filled with tears. She whispered into the empty room, if I stop.
No answer came. She looked toward the window. What if I let it burn? The words frightened even her. What if I am tired? Silence. I buried 11 husbands. I buried my own future. I buried my own happiness. She closed the box. Maybe this was where the story ended. Maybe she allowed the fire to come. Everyone hated her anyway. Maybe they would finally understand what she had carried. She covered her face. For the first time, Amarachi prayed for the cause to win. The next morning, the market was unusually busy. Travelers had arrived before sunrise. Salt traders, palm oil merchants, cloth sellers. People shouted prices across the square. Goats wandered between stalls. Children laughed. Life looked normal until someone new walked into it. He was tall, broad shoulders, dark skin kissed by the sun. A simple wrapper covered his waist. Bundles of fine cloth rested across his shoulder. His eyes moved carefully from one stall to another, not frightened, not hurried, observant. This was Obina, a trader from a town many days away, far enough that stories became whispers before they reached him. He noticed everyone staring toward one corner of the market. He followed their eyes. There she was, the woman dressed in black, standing alone. Nobody went near her. Curiosity pulled him closer. Amarachi reached for a basket of kola nuts. The seller quickly stepped back. She paid anyway. As she turned, she almost bumped into him. He didn't move. He didn't step away. He simply looked at her. So, he said calmly, "You're the woman everyone keeps talking about." Amarachi looked into his eyes. No fear, no hatred, only curiosity. "Which story did they tell you?" "The one where you are dangerous." A tiny smile appeared on her lips. The most accurate one. To her surprise, Obina laughed. Not a nervous laugh, a real one, warm, free. It was the first genuine laugh she had heard directed at her in months. Even the traders looked shocked. "You laugh easily," Amarachi said. "I trade with strangers every week. I've learnt that rumors are usually worth less than old cowries." She stared at him. "You should leave." "So I've been told." "They are right." He shrugged. "I prefer seeing things with my own eyes." "You may not like what you see. I'll decide that myself." For the first time in 11 months, someone spoke to Amarachi like she was simply another human being. Not a curse, not a ghost, not a monster. Just a woman. She walked away before her heart could remember what hope felt like. But she did not notice one thing. Obina watched her until she disappeared beyond the market. And for reasons he could not explain, he smiled, because he knew he wanted to see her again. 3 days remained. Obinna came back, just as he had promised. This time he did not bring cloth. He brought roasted corn. Amarachi smiled. "A trader bringing corn?" He shrugged. "I thought you looked hungry." She laughed. A small laugh, but real. For the first time in many months, laughter did not feel like betrayal. They walked slowly through the edge of the village, past the farms, past the old udala trees, toward the river. The same river everyone feared. The same river where the village believed Amarachi's great-grandmother had made a terrible bagging. The water was strangely calm, not a single ripple. Obinna watched the river. Then he looked at Amarachi. "Can I ask you something? You've been asking strange questions since we met. I ask the questions that matter. She folded her arms. Go on. What do you really know about your great-grandmother, Nneka? Amarachi frowned. Only the stories. That she was a powerful priestess. That she angered the river spirit. That the curse has followed our family ever since. Obina was quiet. And did anyone tell you who she was before all those stories? Amarachi shook her head. No, because nobody remembered. Silence settled between them. Finally, Obinna spoke. Nneka was never a priestess. Amarachi blinked. What? She was simply a young woman who fell in love. The man she loved came from a rival village. Their families had hated each other for years. If they married, both of them would have been killed. Amarachi's heartbeat quickened. So they created another story. A story everyone would fear. They told both villages that Nneka had received a command from the river spirit, that she had to marry during the full moon, that anyone who stopped the wedding would bring destruction upon both villages. The elders were terrified. No one dared question a message they believed came from the spirits. So the wedding happened. The lovers lived. The lies saved them. Amarachi stood speechless. Obina looked at her gently. The lie was supposed to end there. It was never meant to become a family curse. It was never meant to survive another generation. Amarachi's voice trembled. Mama Oichchi. Obina nodded slowly. She grew up hearing the story. As a little girl, she believed every word. Years later, she discovered the truth. But by then, your mother already believed it. The village believed it. And when you were born, she hoped the story would die naturally. She never imagined you will accept it as your destiny. Amarachi's knees felt weak. So, everything I believed was a lie? Obina looked at the river. Not completely. The story was real, but the curse was not. She shook her head again. I don't understand. You believed with every part of your heart that each husband would die before sunrise. That fear consumed you. Every word, every prayer, every heartbeat, you expected death. You waited for it. And your husband saw that fear. They felt it too. They believed it too. Fear is powerful. When the mind accepts something as certain, the body follows. Your terror became theirs. Stress became panic. Panic became shock. The story became stronger than the truth. A tear rolled down Amarachi's cheek. No. Obina stepped closer. Chidi, he saw you shaking all night. Namdi, he kept asking if he would survive until morning. Ekene prayed until sunrise because he believed death was waiting outside. Every husband entered the wedding already carrying fear. The story killed them. Not magic. Not spirits. Not you.
Amarachi collapsed onto the riverbank. Her breathing became uneven. 11 men. Obina knelt beside her. They died believing a story. So did you. She buried her face in her hands. I killed them. No. You were another victim. They stole your life too. For a long moment, only the sound of flowing water remained. Finally, Amarachi whispered, Who are you? Obina smiled sadly. I am a healer. I heal the stories families carry, the lies that become truth, the fears people inherit. He reached into his shoulder bag. He pulled out an old folded letter. Mama Oichchi sent this to me 3 moons ago. She confessed everything. She begged me to come before the 12th full moon. Without another word, Amarachi ran to Mama Oichchi's hut. The old woman was already waiting. You lied to me. Her voice was cold. Mama Oichchi lowered her head. I did. 11 men are dead because of that lie. I know. My shame has grown heavier with every funeral. Then why? Why didn't you tell me? I was afraid. Afraid you would hate me. Afraid nobody would believe me. Afraid the village would choose the story over the truth. They already did. Mama Oichchi nodded. A lie repeated for generations becomes stronger than truth. People stop questioning. They simply believe. And belief can become the deadliest curse of all. Silence. The full moon comes in 3 days. If no one dies, what happens? Mama Oichchi looked toward the darkening sky. The story ends, the curse ends, and you become free. That night, Amarachi and Obinna sat beneath the stars. I don't know how to stop believing. Obina gently held her hands. You replace fear with truth. But 11 men are still gone. Yes, but you can make sure they are the last men to die because of a story. You can break the chain, so your daughters and their daughters will never carry this burden again. For the first time since the nightmare began, Amarachi looked at the rising moon, not with fear, but with hope. And somewhere beyond the trees, someone else was watching, hidden in the darkness, listening. The 12th full moon had already begun to rise.
5 days passed. The full moon returned. The whole village gathered. Some came to pray. Some came to watch. Most came expecting another funeral. Instead, they saw Amarachi. She was not wearing black. She wore brilliant white. A beautiful white wrapper, a matching white blouse. For the first time in almost a year, she looked alive. The whispers began. Who is the groom? Does he know? Has nobody warned him? Then Obina stepped forward, dressed in elegant cream native attire, calm, confident, unafraid. The village priest raised his hands, but Amarachi stopped him. Wait. Everyone became silent. She turned toward the villagers. You called me a witch. You called me death. You taught your children to fear me. Tears filled many eyes, but none of you knew the truth. She took a deep breath. My great-grandmother, Nneka, was never cursed. She simply fell in love. A story was created to save her life, but that story became a prison. My family believed it. The village believed it. I believed it. And because we all believed it, 11 innocent men died. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some people cried. Some shook their heads. Some refused to listen. An old man walked away. A woman covered her mouth. Mothers held their children closer, not out of fear, out of shame. Obina stepped beside Amarachi. His voice was calm. I did not come here to die. I came here to live. And I came to help Amarachi live too. The wedding began. Simple, peaceful, no fear, no whispers, only truth. The moon crossed the sky. The village stayed awake. Nobody slept. Everyone waited for sunrise. The first rays of morning finally appeared. Birds began to sing. The rooster crowed. Children slowly stepped outside. Obina smiled. He was still breathing. Nothing happened. No fire, no curse, no death. Only morning. The village stared in disbelief. The story had finally ended.
Later that day, Amarachi returned home. She opened the wooden box. 11 rings, 11 names. She picked them up one by one. Chidi, Ekene, Obasi. One after another, she spoke every name, not with guilt, but with love. They deserved better. She placed the rings inside a new carved wooden box. This one stayed above the table, never hidden again. Then, for the first time since the nightmare began, Amarachi cried. Not quiet tears. She wept with all the pain she had buried inside, for the 11 men, for the years she lost, for the little girl who believed fear was her destiny. Obina held her, and this time, nobody died. Weeks later, Amarachi and Obina walked away from Umu-Anya, Not because they were chased out, but because they were finally free. Mama Oichchi watched them disappear down the dusty road. She said nothing. Some apologies are too small for the wounds they leave behind. Slowly, the village changed. The children stopped singing the cruel song. The mothers stopped pulling their sons away. Every full moon, fresh flowers appeared on the 11 graves. Nobody ever discovered who left them there. The most dangerous curse is not one created by spirits. It is a lie repeated until everyone believes it. Truth may hurt at first, but only truth can set people free. As Amarachi and Obina disappeared into the golden sunrise, she carried 12 rings, 11 to remember, 1 to remind her that love built on truth will always outlive fear. If this story touched your heart, don't leave without liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone you love.
If you watch this story till the very end, you already know one thing. Fear is dangerous when you believe it. But what do you think really killed the 11 husbands? The curse or the power of fear? Drop your answer in the comments. We're reading everyone.